This video is going to explore one of the prompt words that we use in art and design studies at National 5. Today we're going to explore composition. Composition is the arrangement or placement of particular parts of an artwork. It's not to do so much with what is in the artwork, but it's more to do with where these things in the artwork are positioned. So in a still life, that might be to do with where the objects have been placed. Or in a landscape, it might be where the trees, hills, or river are placed in relation to each other. Composition is really important because it can help the artist to create a mood or a feeling through the piece of artwork. It can help them to emphasise a certain part of the artwork or lead our eye round about the artwork. Here are some of the techniques which an artist might use. You might want to pause the video here and take a note of these. So first of all, we're going to look at shape. There are lots of different ways that an artist might use shape to help them position the things which are in their piece of art. Here we can see some of the most common shapes that artists use. If we think of still life, we might position our objects in a triangular shape. This is very common to see in still life paintings. In landscapes, we might see more of a diagonal leading line, maybe a road or a river, which is drawing our eye into the painting. This is also common where we have an S curve. Sometimes an artist might use an L shape in their composition, or a circle, or a linear composition. Have a look at these artworks and see how the artist has used different shapes to help them compose the artwork. When you are given an artwork to analyse, think about the shape and look to see if the objects have been arranged in an obvious shape. An artist also thinks about the three main areas within their artwork: the background, middle ground, and foreground. Again, this can help an artist to draw attention to certain parts of the art. The background is the furthest away part of the painting. In the top painting here, we can see that the background is very plain and simple. This helps draw attention to the objects which are in the middle ground. In the lower painting, in the background, we can see furniture, a chair, and the background of the room. This helps to create depth, but could be distracting, taking our eye away from the main objects. In both paintings, the objects are positioned in the middle ground. Usually this is the place that our eyes go to straight away. In the foreground, we have the thing which is closest to us. In the bottom painting, this is a piece of fabric which is draped over the table. An artist may also think about the crop or a zoom in part of their photograph or artwork. They may want to make the viewer draw their eye into the main parts of the artwork by cropping really close to the edge and showing the detail of something. Have a think when you see a piece of artwork, how much of it you can see. Size is another important aspect which an artist might consider. In these pieces of art, you can see that the objects have been arranged in size. This might be something that you comment on when you're discussing composition. It may be that the objects have been arranged in size order, so the tallest objects are towards the back and the smaller objects are towards the front. This is common in still life paintings. It means that we are able to see all of the objects clearly, and not any of the smaller objects are hidden behind taller objects. In the painting at the bottom, you might also want to talk about size. You will notice that the trees that are closest to us are much bigger than the trees which are further away, and this gives a sense of perspective. Size is another important aspect which artists will consider when creating the composition of their artwork. Artists may also think about overlapping aspects of their composition. In this example here of the wine glasses, they are placed side by side. They don't overlap, and it's difficult to tell which one is further forward. Whereas on the composition on the right-hand side, we can clearly see that the apple is in front of the jug and the jug is in front of the bottle, because there are parts of it that we can't see because they are behind each other. This helps the artist to create depth in their painting and helps them to make it look more realistic. Rule of thirds. When a painting is divided into three, horizontally and vertically, it helps the artist to create balance in the painting. Often, the artist will position something in the points of intersection where the lines cross over, or they may choose to position something with a strong vertical or horizontal line in the lines which are going up in thirds. This is a really common technique because it's pleasing to the eye and it creates harmony and balance, which is pleasant to look at in the paintings. Leading lines are another common compositional technique which artists use. They are created by things in the artwork which lead our eye into the main part of the painting. They usually are strongly diagonal and take us from the outside edge of the painting or the frame into the centre, or into a focal point which the artist would like us to look at. A focal point is something within the painting which the artist wants to draw our attention to or emphasise. They might use colour to do that, so it might be something which is a different colour and really stands out. It might be to do with the tone, something which is really light compared to everything else which is dark. There are a number of ways in which they could do this. This really helps to draw attention to something in particular. Everybody has different focal points, so when they look at an artwork, there's no right or wrong answer to the focal point as long as you can justify why you think that is the most important part of the painting. Here we have some examples of some paintings, a landscape, a still life, and a kind of built environment landscape. What we would like you to do is make some brief notes on each of these three paintings. What techniques can you obviously see that the artist has used in this painting? Note them down and pause your video here while you take some notes. You might want to do this as bullet points, or you could just do it as a spider diagram, whatever is easiest. Next, we want to take these points, now that you've recognised them, the points that the artist will use, the techniques that the artist will use, and we want to think about the effect that they have on the painting for the viewer. So we want to understand how artists use composition. And usually the composition that they choose will be to help them to create a particular effect. Three of the effects that we might talk about are here. So an artist might use a particular composition to create depth or distance in the composition, the painting. This helps to make it look more 3D and helps give the painting distance so that it looks more realistic. A painter may also try to use balance and So now we want you to understand how an artist uses these compositional techniques in their artwork. We'd like you to think really hard about your explanations and where you see it in the artwork. A good structure to use is what, where, and why. So what technique do you see? Where do you see it? Where's the evidence of it in the artwork? And why has the artist used it? What do they create by doing that? Here are three different artworks which we would like you to have a look at and answer the question, explain how the artist has used composition in each of these artworks. We're looking for you to probably make 3 or 4 points about each piece of art. Remember to make sure you answer what the technique is, where you see evidence of it, and why the artist has used it.